Hi, I'm Dea,
I'm Reese.
and we are
Literally dead.
the gayest, funnest podcast of your dreams.
Horror podcast.
Oh, of course, yeah, horror podcast.
We are going to be watching and talking about horror films, mainly queer ones, but not only, from the perspective of an editor and an actor, mainly gay people.
Yeah.
And yeah. We're not going to take it too seriously.
No, we're not.
Although we know some things about film, we're not that stupid. We're pretty, but we're not dumb.
I got 2-1 in my degree. I got the results yesterday, so I'm very proud.
Me too.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. We're all graduates here. Thank you for watching.
Please keep
Here's
watching.
the episode.
Please keep watching for my ego.
Tell me how pretty I am in the comments.
Today we're going to be talking about a gay film. We're talking about The Vampire Lovers from 1970.
Lesbians.
Lesbians.
Beautiful.
I really enjoyed this film. Did you finish it?
I did this morning.
This morning?
I watched it over 2 nights in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick recap of the film. It's basically a retelling of Carmilla. A lot of lesbian vampire movies are actually retellings of Carmilla. It's like the most famous vampire lesbian story. So the lesbian vampire genre has been around for a while. Like it's been around since the 1930s. One of the first ones is like Dracula's Daughter. But as you kind of come into the 90s, they become more bisexual. Like David Bowie's actually in a lesbian vampire film called I think it's The Addiction he's in or something else. And they become more like ambiguous in terms of their sexuality, and so they go after men and they go after women as long as they're pretty. And you can still kind of see it today in films like Jennifer's Body, which isn't exactly like a vampire film. She's a succubus, but that's taken a lot of inspiration from the lesbian vampire tropes that you see in films like
I love Jennifer's Body. We'll have to do an episode on that.
I love that film so much. I've watched that film too many times.
What's a vampire if not gay?
I feel like that's like a criteria you have to be like a vampire. You have to be a little bit gay.
Or no straight vampires.
I fully believe that. I'm just remembering Twilight, and that's very unfortunate.
Let's not. And let's be fair, that is the gayest straight thing possible. I'm sorry, but what was that thing where he takes off his shirt and he glimmers in the sun like fucking glitter?
This is the skin of a killer.
This is the Hammer monster.
But yes, going back to the film, it was really good. It's a Hammer horror film. I very much enjoyed it. I thought that what's her name? Marcella or Carmilla, she goes by 2 names, was very fit. I just kind of wish the men hadn't gone in the way a little bit.
I mean, I did think the plot was very difficult to follow because I tuned out every time a man opened his mouth.
Yeah, I kind of struggled to tell some of them apart because they all have like puffy collars and then like lamb chop sideburn
They
thing.
really did. Also, why is it that a defining feature of the female vampires is that they're hot, but all of the male vampires were ugly?
I think that's just men in general. Apart from you, of course.
It was like disappointing. I was oh.
Yes.
Okay. We should talk about. Okay, so we should talk. I think we should talk about the film.
Talk about the film.
I think we should go through like step by step through the film from the beginning to end.
Okay.
As much. Well, I haven't got like bullet points, but we'll just go through what we remember.
Yes.
Do you want to drink first?
Yes, absolutely. Happy gay, everybody.
Happy Gay Pride. Oh yeah, we're filming this like on June 1st on the Pride Parade.
We're gonna be able to go to Pride right after this.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be my first Pride since coming out like 3 years ago. So I'm very happy about that.
It's first Pride.
And
it's like right out the door.
Yeah, which is really good.
We're lucky.
Very.
So it got really gay when we first got here. It was like not gay at all. When I went out to go get you, so gay.
So gay. It's like very gay to like just pop up out of nowhere, like not really on time, but like you've already started the party and everything.
It was like there was nothing at all, and then all of a sudden everything.
It's the audacity we have, and it's truly marvelous.
It kind of reminds me of what I was talking to Andrew the other day, and we were joking about how when we were at the barbecue, and we were saying that like gays are always terrible at navigating, but they're really fast. I feel like that's what's happened today.
I think I got the short end of the stick because I'm blind, so I can't navigate, but I'm also really fucking slow. So thanks.
You have big tits though.
That
For
is
anyone
true.
just listening, she has really big tits.
That is.
They can't see, so I just got to describe it. Not too much detail. Anyway, do you wanna do this?
Yeah, I want to drink now after you've had to say that. Christ, I didn't mean to be objectified. I thought I was safe here with these gays. I can't open it. My nails are short. For any women watching, my nails are short.
He's trying to get a girlfriend out of this.
Listen, if this doesn't work out, I'm trying to work out. You know what I mean? I can't. You
I
open
mean,
it.
you're doing a podcast talking about lesbian vampires. I mean, what else is going to get you a girlfriend?
For any lesbian vampires. I'm single.
What do you have to do? Just have fucking nightmares about big grey cats?
No, because I never understood that. So, as it goes, the kind of general plot of the movie is that Marcella gets dropped off by this countess lady who like kind of seduces the older fatherly figure in the manor, and she goes, "Oh, I have to go. My like brother, sister's uncle's dying. Um, can you? Ooh, can you pick up my like? Can you look after my daughter?" And then it's like Marcella or Carmilla, whatever name she goes by at the time, and she kind of seduces the daughter of the household while she stays with them, and eventually like kills them.
Of course. Let's start from the beginning. So it opens up
Yeah.
with a man,
Oh my god, this I forgot about this bit.
yeah, refusing to mind his business,
I'm just trying this first.
while some badass lesbian fucking vampire is just trying to live her best life. She's been slumbering in her sleep for God knows how long, and she's just woken up, and she's literally just dancing in the forest, killing a couple of people maybe, but she's being gay, be slay,
So like,
and he
what's abnormal about that?
decides it's his business.
I don't. He comes out here homophobic as fuck, and he's like, I have to challenge these evils because they have like these magical shroud things, and he throws the shroud out the window, and he's cowering behind this window. It's like I must challenge this evil, and he almost gets seduced by the vampire, who at the time I thought was his sister because all he could talk about was his sister. I was like, what the fucking is incest type thing?
I say stuff.
I know. I realized
She's
that
just
after.
hot. And he's like, oh, her powers paralyzed me. No, she
Her
was just
powers are
hot.
hot.
She
She
was
just
just
had
hot.
tits out, basically. I mean, to be fair, I would be paralyzed too, but that's not the point.
You would let her bit you. You'd be dead.
I would
You'd
be
be
dead.
dead. If there's one
Happily.
thing you won't survive,
Happily.
it is anything with big tits.
Cheers. Happy gay.
Happy gay. Ooh.
Ooh, it's trying
So
to
yeah, so he opens
sabotage
up with
me.
that and that scene, and then he beheads the vampire. Which,
The
like,
unfortunate
if
vampire.
you're gonna do anything when you're presented with such an attractive, sexy vampire,
It's not behead them.
it's not behead them. It's
That's not the appropriate reaction to have.
no.
And then it cuts to the future, and that's when Carmilla goes around seducing hot women and murdering them.
Yeah, but I was so shook that he killed her. Like, how does he not just let her by him? I know you would.
I would.
One thing I thought it was such an interesting, like, obviously when it comes to different vampire films, different vampire mythology, they have different ideas of what being a vampire is. I liked that they had this sort of like veil idea that like each vampire had this.
Wish it was used a little bit more than it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't really understand it, but I thought it was very good. To be honest, when I saw that it was like a Hammer horror film, they're very much known for like their corny kind of, you know, rubber suit man running around after people type horror, and it was very subtle, but it was very tasteful in the way things were done.
Yeah.
And I was surprised about that because on Letterboxd it actually says an erotic horror masterpiece or something in the
Description.
in the description. That's the one. And I was like, watching half this movie, and I was like, it's not particularly like grotesque in the way it like depicts naked female bodies in any way, and I really like appreciate that.
No, the visuals entirely. I mean, I'll get into the maybe the costumes and the characters in a minute, but just the visuals in general, the fog,
So
the
good.
gravestones, the beautifully painted backdrops, the castle. It was like gothic kind. It was
It was so good.
everything.
It was very romantic in that kind of way, where
Hmm.
she's like standing on this like well, Marcella's standing on this like patio type thing, and she's got these two pillars around her, and she's in this flowing red dress, and the wind is blowing, and she's just looking at this like there's this man like mastermind vampire, and he keeps coming up, but he's never really mentioned. But she's looking at him right off into the distance, and she's just so like beautiful because she's obviously like a very conventionally like, attractive actress, um, and you just think. this isn't an evil woman. She's just stunning.
Also, was it that ugly, hideous vampire man that was killing everyone?
What's that?
Because the main vampire, what's her name?
She goes by two, just Carmilla or Marcella. So
I'm just gonna call her
Marcella.
Marcela. Um, she was cute, but like I didn't think she was killing everyone. She killed when she had to,
Yeah,
but she was feeding off of her girlfriend's titty, right?
yeah. She was feeding and she was allowing them to be sick, but especially in the second relationship, because there's like a kind of there's a smaller one that happens in the beginning, between her and
The one that dies, the blonde one.
the one that dies, the blonde one. And that one you kind of see a little bit of, and there are some tender moments there, but you see mostly the second relationship she has with, I think her name is Laura. And you see this second relationship she has,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very like tender. She says to her, she holds her face in her hand, and she says, "I want you to love me forever and ever, and I will always love you." Stuff like
And
that.
then she says, "I'm sure we'll always be friends."
God, that pissed me off so much. She's like, "Don't you want a handsome man to come and rescue you?" And she says, "Why would I want that? I want you and only you." And I'm just like, get the
It's
hint.
it's really sad too, because Marcella's like her like main magical power is to pussy whip people.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, she's got like
She does that.
vagina like brainwashing powers,
She does that to the governess that like
and the guy,
runs, and the guy, yeah, the butler.
but she couldn't do it to the girl she wanted to actually fall in love with her.
It's very sad, but I think it kind of presents it in a kind of like almost tragic way where she's like feeding off of her life force, but she is presented as genuinely loving
Yeah.
the girl.
But yeah, so that opens up with the guy, and then it goes to this like dance scene with a bunch of like ball gowns,
Yeah,
and
there's a ball scene and it was very cool.
also during this whole film, why does every single woman in this film look like a variant of Lana Del Rey? Also, do you see how thin all the eyebrows were?
They were very thin. It was like different albums, like um the ballroom scene is really great because you can see like Marcella's in this like red dress and all the stragglers are in like gold, and then like her two like victims of the film, they're both in like a kind of blue color.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, so you can see who the main players are going to be here, and it's a great way of like like kind of showing who she's really interested in. They're dancing at one point, her and the main girl, and she's like, everyone else at this party's staring at that woman, but she's staring at you. And then the guy goes, no, she's staring at you.
Obviously, I was very scared when we got to that ballroom and there was a bunch of straight people dancing.
Yeah.
I was nervous. I was like, oh no, this is gonna be one of those lesbian ones where it's like the essence of lesbian, but no, no, it wasn't. I mean, it's
No,
not even
it's
like
fun.
20 minutes, not even 20 minutes into film and you're getting like lesbian kisses.
Mm.
I mean, come on.
They called each other dearest and holding each other and giving each other flower crowns. It was very cute.
Do you think that it like speaks to like a lot in horror, which is like underestimating women?
I think like it's very interesting looking at like the difference between like a male-led vampire film and a female-led vampire film in terms of queerness, because men are either seducing straight women, or they're very ugly. And if we go to talk about the ones that are seducing straight, Twilight and stuff, it's presented as a good thing. They're rescuing these women from a mundane life or abuse or, something they don't want to be in, and they are taking care of them and they're creating an immortal, beautiful life together. But when a lesbian tries to do the same thing, it's they're stealing our women.
Mm,
And they can never really have a happy ending until you get to like a more modern film. Um,
yeah.
and it's interesting because when you look at the way gay men are presented in like a horror film, they're very much also predatory, but in a very different kind of nature. They are like coming, they're going, they're going to be aggressive, they're going
They're
to be
what?
there.
On who?
Oh, for fuck's sake! They're going for it. All right, fuck you. Um, but whereas a lesbian, when she wants to get to her victim, if it's you or her partner, do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, she has to kind of be a more subtle. She goes in with a more feminine route, and she kind of seduces them, and that's why she is so dangerous and predatory because the men don't know. You know,
Yeah.
the men can't know
But
it.
that's
They
what I'm
can't
saying about
protect
like
her.
the underestimating, because
Yeah,
like I feel like only would they have allowed that situation to happen with a woman. I mean, they took Marcella in, not knowing much about her,
yeah.
and just allowed her to live there. And even when there were
It happens
issues,
multiple
they
times,
didn't
John.
even suspect her.
No, they didn't. The servants do at some points. Well, no, the servants suspect the governess at some points, but never Marcella herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it kind of shows how like invisible like lesbian relationships and sapphic in general relationships were not even just during like the time the film was made, but also the time the film was written for. You know, like it's like set in the like 1700s, and at the time there wasn't really any laws preventing like sapphic relationships.
I mean, it was like, but that is such a good point, especially considering the timing, which is like the 70s, which is like, you know, the same decade in which like well, I was gonna say gay rights were altered, but like, you know, gay laws about gay men were altered.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to know. And honestly, like you said, like films like this going back to the 30s, like it's crazy to think that almost like so much sort of sapphic like romance was allowed to make its way into somewhat mainstream or film because it was just so not taken serious by the men who allowed it.
It wasn't presented as being a real form of romance. If it was a man of, you know, lower class birth or a different race, it's kind of like a predatory man coming after this woman. But if it's another woman coming after this woman, then it's like, oh, she's just making her ill, and then we can make her better again.
It's like, you know, it's like lesbians are just a plot device to them.
Kind of, yeah. And even though like this,
not a real threat.
Yeah, it happens in a lot of like lesbian, vampire, and queer like horror in general. But I am kind of I enjoyed how sympathetic it was in this film in particular to like their relationship. They were tender towards each other. There was a scene of them like running around and this trying on each other's clothes and, you know, giggling and laughing and holding hands and, you know, being together as happy people. And it's quite funny because at some points it's presented as Marcella's coming after her. You know, there's like an ominous music cue, and all I can think of is these people look so happy right now.
I mean, she was letting her get sick.
She was.
I mean, let's not act like she was an angel.
No, she wasn't an angel. She wasn't an angel. I wouldn't say she's like particularly a good person, obviously. And she is presented as this kind of evil person. She comes from this evil family. They feed every year or so on people, and they love being causes of chaos and mayhem and stuff. But it kind of begs the question if because at some points she does just go and eat people. Like at one point, the woodcutter's daughter's funeral happens, and it's like she can just go and eat people. So why does she bother creating this fantasy with Laura and
she's a groomer.
Emma?
I don't know.
Come on.
Sorry, she's not a groomer.
No,
just a loser.
The only thing she's groomed is her 2 Persian cats.
No, the screams in the film. The screams in the films were. The screams in the film were good.
Yeah.
A bit much. I mean, especially. I don't even know. I was gonna like. There's 3 main screams. There's a couple screams. 3 main ones. The 2 the blonde girl does. The first one where she screams over and up. The scream she scrumped. She was getting paid. Did you see? Was there like 6 screams over and over again?
To be honest, I really struggled to keep track of how many screams it was because after I watched this film, I watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and that's with the blonde lady, and she's constantly screaming throughout that film. So I'm just like, oh yeah, I just watched a horror movie with less screaming than in this family action adventure.
Those screams were good, but I always feel so weird because none of the screams were in actual. Besides, right at the end, there's one scream that a woman does when she finds the girl dead in bed, with like blood coming out of her neck. That's like okay, that's valid. But like most of the other screams are just waking up from nightmares and just screaming at the wall.
The nightmares that always got to me because it's like, why are you afraid of this cat? Like
this
giant, great big cat, and it's like it's a cat.
Also, why is it so erotic? Like when they were in bed, like having their nightmares, it was so erotic.
Yeah, she was doing something.
The first girl with the blonde one who dies,
yeah,
she was having her nightmare. I swear she was fucking her fucking fur blanket. Was she not having sex with that thing?
To be honest, right? When she was like lying in bed and screaming and her eyes are closed and she's making these weird movements, I thought Marcella was gonna come out.
No, wait. There's a scene where her and her main girlfriend, like she basically they have sex, right?
Yeah, kind of.
They're like fine. Well, it's like implied that like it looks like Marcella goes down on her.
I hope she did.
But then it switches to another scene, and the governess is like walking through the house, whatever, and he's screaming. I thought they were gonna do like she's having another nightmare, but she was really getting ate out by Marcella. But no, they were just cutting to that night.
Yeah.
But it was very, very unfortunate. Unfortunate. I
Yeah.
don't know which way, but it's very unfortunate timing.
Struggled to figure out why the cat was related to anything.
But he was cute.
No, but I
Look,
loved
Gustav the cat.
Gustav was the best character in this film. I hope
He slayed his role.
he
He
did.
was adorable.
15 seconds of screen time, and he made that film.
He really did.
Gustav is
His little meows. Oh, Gustav.
Gustav's such a good name for a cat too.
Look.
I love Gustav.
I mean, come on. You're gonna have a bunch of lesbians. You have to have like a cat.
You need to have a pussy in there somewhere. I know you didn't want to make that joke, so I made it for you.
Oh, you know that really got me?
What?
When and I feel like any gay person who's like had enough experience with closeted people would relate to this. But when she's talking to her girlfriend, who's not her girlfriend, and she's talking about loving boys, and she's like, "No, love me," and then she's all, "We'll always be friends," and then she says, "It's not the same thing. It's different," referring to like fucking men than fucking women. She's like, "Yeah, I know we've been like low key shagging, but like it's different with a man. It's not the same with a woman."
I hated that so much. To be honest, I was like, "What do you see in her? What do you see in her?"
That was the most homophobic thing to happen. That whole film. She's like, "No, you love me," and she's like, "We'll always be friends, but I have to love a man. It's just different. A woman can't love a man.
It's giving
a woman the way the man loves a woman."
If anyone's seen the anime Madoka Magica, at one point the girl runs off and she goes, "Girls can't love girls. Girls can't love girls." That it's giving very much that. Like she's just denying it to herself because she's scared. Someone in the comments is gonna be like, "Oh, but what if she was actually straight the whole time? What if?"
Fuck off.
Yeah. What if she's?
She was not straight.
Literally.
So I thought Marcella looked like Sarah Jane.
Sarah Jane. I guess like a young Sarah Jane.
She did. She 100% did. I kept calling her Sarah Jane. It's really bad because I wrote notes while I was watching the film, and I just referred to her as Sarah Jane. I was like, her face when Sarah Jane went down on her. Sorry.
Whoa.
No, Marcella, when she went down on her girlfriend.
Yeah.
Did you see her face?
No.
I don't know how to describe this face.
To be honest, during the most
like bulging eyes, but no smile. Like her mouth wasn't moving at all, and her eyes were bulging.
We all have different O faces.
Yeah, but like, come on, it was depressing.
It was. It was very much. I can't lie. During the like more risque scenes, I wasn't paying full attention because as much as I wanted to, I was watching like on my laptop in the kitchen with like my headphones on, and my dad was making like mashed potatoes and arguing with my sister in the living room, like going back and forth. So like, and every so often he would walk over and just see what I was watching, like what I was doing, and so I had like turned the laptop away a little bit, and I was like, "Who's looking? What's going on?" Like I was so afraid that he's gonna walk in on that scene where like they're like running around naked. He didn't, luckily.
Good.
It added to the ambiance, I say.
I mean, the sound. I mean, it's a film from the 70s. You can't like come for some of the technicals, but the sound was interesting. It was quite mellow, and then it would have piercing moments. But I feel like almost accidental. The sound wasn't great because it was so inconsistent that I'd have the volume on like like 20 or whatever, and then all of a sudden I'd have to go down to like 12 because Jesus Christ.
I thought a lot of the technical aspects were actually really good. I think that's probably because the director like made like 40 films.
But the sound.
The sound in particular, I didn't have anything bad about it. Maybe it's just where you were watching it. Because I was on Amazon Prime, that's where I watched it.
Same.
I did try to pirate it, and then a different vampire movie came up.
We don't support pirating.
We don't support pirating, but I wasn't sure if I could find it on Prime. Okay, leave me alone. So I was trying to find it on like my websites first, and a different it was like, "Oh, the Vampire Lovers." I was like, "Oh, this is the one I want," and then I click on it, and it's like a completely different, like also Hammer lesbian like vampire film called like Kiss of the Vampire, I think. And that was a very different experience. They just open up fully with like the vampire lesbian dying.
Did you watch it?
No, I watched like the first 10 minutes, and then I realized the subtitles weren't the same as like the one on the thing. and the pictures weren't the same on the one letterbox. So I was like, okay, this is not the one I want. So yeah,
Smart.
I'm very clever sometimes. Oh, sorry, I need to correct myself because earlier I said that it was Laura who was the main love interest, and that's actually wrong. It was Emma, and then Laura was the first one. I believe Laura is the name of the girl in the Carmilla novel, but I could be wrong. I haven't read it.
But yeah. So we go for the film, love interest moment, pussy whipping everyone,
As she
feeding off
should.
her girlfriend's titty,
As she should.
being friend zoned.
As she shouldn't.
And then they start to figure her out towards the end. And so then she has to take over she has to pussy whip the what's his name? The guy.
Oh, the butler.
The butler. He's the pussy whip the butler because the butler was getting way too
He
big for
was
his
the
boots.
only one who suspected anything. And it's like, maybe, yeah, because the dad was out of town for most of it, and the governess was kind of in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, she wasn't in on it, she was pussy whipped.
she was pussy whipped. She was also hot.
She thought also another thing. She had a no. Explain this because she had a night with Marcilla, right?
Yeah.
A night with Marcilla. Let's clarify that.
Yeah.
And the next morning, crack of dawn, she is ready at the breakfast table with the most convoluted, complex braids on her head. No.
Maybe she just stayed awake.
I feel like maybe she just did. Honestly, how could you sleep?
Literally, like maybe her legs were still vibrating or something. Um,
Just like, how do you have a night with Marcilla and like not sleep through the next day?
I think maybe she's just, yeah. Also, something fun about this film is that it's not the like typical like vampires burn up in the daylight type film. It's very much more traditional. Just vampires don't have as much power kind of during the daylight. Like you see them out during nature and all that. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, as much as it's fun to have like vampires burn up during the day, it is kind of fun to see them out in the daylight. Like you're never safe.
Yeah.
That's why I think the older, like I read Dracula and I thought that was really great. Except he was kind of in a coma in the day in that one. But yeah.
Cute. But so they figure out they go to the mansion with all the
Yeah, all the men go to the mansion. They invade this woman's home.
invade her. How dare they infiltrate her home? Oh wait, she did that to them.
They invited her in. They said,
Fair.
please come and stay with
They
us.
saw a sexy woman on the doorstep and they said, "Get in here." But when she was fucking, the daughter instead of the dad, they were upset. They were jealous.
Literally. Dead.
I like the kills. I like the way that they killed the vampires, going into their graves, stabbing the stakes through them. You know what it reminded me of? You ever watch those videos of people who own pet snails?
No.
And you never seen these? And then the snails lay eggs and you have to like crush them.
Oh, I've seen some people crush eggs, but that was like TikTok.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of when they were killing the vampires.
Because otherwise your snails will have too many babies. Birth control.
Birth control.
Birth control. If this is reminder you to take your birth control. I didn't say that properly. Because I'm drinking. 1 second.
Crush your eggs.
Flush them babies out.
But no, that's what reminded me because they're just like, opening up their caskets and seeing their like bodies and then like crushing them with
Yeah.
the steak. And it was very much giving like crushing snail eggs.
Yes. So they go through this mansion.
Yeah.
And they kill the rest of the family, and they look at the portrait of Marcilla, and they're like, "Where's her grave? Because she needs to go back." Like, because that's where they thought she was resting, but she's not there. And then during this time, Marcilla knows what's going on. She's figured it out, and she goes to the mansion, and she takes Emma, the main love interest, and she, instead of like murdering her right there, she's like, you need to come with me. She's trying to take her away from this. She's trying to take her away from her family and her dad and her life, and so that she can be with her forever. But she gets interrupted by the governess, who's like, take me, pick me, love me. Little bitch getting in the way of true love.
Oh my god, I loved that scene when they're going down the stairs.
Yeah.
It was so awkward because she comes out and she's like, "No, take me with you." Do you see the way Marcilla looked back at her?
She looked back, she turned around, walked Emma down the rest of the stairs, and then came back out.
But it was the look when she looked back. It was the most awkward, but also low-key disgusted look I've ever seen.
She's like, I have a new.
It is literally like like starting to date someone, and then when your old hookups turn up, it generally was that. But it was the way she looked back, like fuck. I've got to take care of this. And honestly, if she didn't waste her time going back to kill her side bitch, she probably would have gotten out alive.
Honestly, the governess could have literally just cried on the stairs, and she would have taken Emma, and they would have been happily ever after. But
She could have taken both.
she could have taken both. That would have been great.
The governess was so in love.
Molecule.
But the men couldn't have that, could they?
They couldn't have
No,
it.
they couldn't have it. They
Also,
wouldn't allow it. The church said no.
The church said no. I also thought it was interesting because there is a few like straight sex scenes in between Marcella and the butler and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's presented very much differently than the sex scenes between her and other women.
It's grotesque.
It was very more violent. It was rougher. It was more brutal. And then the way she sleeps with Emma, Laura, either of them, it's very much more soft, gentle, like considerate.
But like even when she slept with the governess, who is a woman,
Yeah.
it was like gentler and softer, but it was very different.
Mm-hmm.
It was far more purposeful because it was about
manipulation.
It was very different. But even then, it was still gentler, more seductive, more romantic than when she fucked the butler.
Yeah.
That was the grossest kiss. You see the way they kissed?
They were like eating each other's faces.
She was like eating every woman in that castle, yet none of it looked like actual eating until she kissed that fucking
I feel like there's a deleted scene of her brushing her teeth after she kissed that butler.
It was horrid. But I kind of liked how she almost like, I don't know if it was accidental, but she almost did look like she was uncomfortable, disgusted by having to kiss a man.
Oh, I have to do this now. I thought it was very cool and subtle how like she bites his earlobe and it's like, oh, it's a very seductive thing, but also that's how she like controls them, like pussy whips them kind of thing, like with her vampire powers.
Mm-hmm.
I would just like to preface, as much as I find Marcella really hot, she is actually still a villain.
Is she? I don't understand. I thought the men were the villain.
The men are still the villain. I still hate them. But you probably shouldn't use your vampire powers to like coerce people.
Okay, if you had them, you'd use them.
To coerce people? No!
Mm.
Stop calling me a sex offender.
It's not sex offending if you're a hot vampire.
Is it not?
Okay, yeah, okay, fine. You want me to say it? Marcella is a sex offender.
Thank you.
She's a villain. She's a terrible person.
Yeah.
But she's hot.
She is so
hot. Forgive her. She just wanted to be Gaby Slay.
She did.
Was in love.
She was gay and she did slay people.
I will say, so it gets to the end. So she's like, she's going down the stairs with her love interest. Her side bitch is like, she runs back, kills the side bitch, goes back to her love, and then the man interrupts.
Carl. Fuck you, Carl.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Carl.
But so the man interrupts Carl. Fuck you, Carl.
Fuck you, Carl.
And he comes in, he tries to attack her. She overpowers him, obviously.
As she should.
And then he pulls a blade from his boot that is shaped like a cross.
It's like...
the way, I will say, it broke my heart. I can't lie. I don't know. I mean, I guess this is a comment on performance, but Marcella's reaction when he pulled out the blade, her eyes, oh my God. I was heartbroken. I can't, I'm having a vulnerable moment.
So hard.
She generally, her eyes, I was wrenched. I was absolutely appalled. I wanted to cry.
I was very upset because that's such a fucking bitch ending. Because it's like, it's not even a real cross. It's just a knife that looks like one. It's like, if you wanted to go all religious with it, that's fine. Except she goes to like church graveyards all the time. Like, her grave is in a church. Like, it's inside it. In like a tomb underneath it. So it's like, it's not exactly like she can't go to any religious place or, do anything religious, but the sign of the cross, which isn't even a real cross, it's a fucking dagger, is the one that kills her.
I mean, wow. It pissed me off, but when it comes to actually dying, so she gets the cross in the face and she teleports away back into her coffin, and that's when they find her coffin and her sleeping veil body, whatever.
Yeah.
And they stake her. But I loved that she didn't give them the satisfaction.
Yeah.
We've seen them stake so many vampires, and the reaction is always like this, scared fear. She didn't react. She opened her eyes, looked at them,
closed them.
She didn't give them the satisfaction. She's like, you're not gonna see me weak.
The person who screams is actually Emma, her love interest. She goes, no. She has like a psychic connection to Marcella at this point, and she goes, no, don't do it. She's got her eyes closed. She's very much feeling the pain that Marcella's feeling, and she's the one who screams when Marcella dies.
Like all lesbian relationships. Because they have that psychic thing.
So
You wouldn't know. Oh, sorry.
Get a job. You've got some dick, now get a job.
Oh, that's so true. I haven't got myself a job. I only got you a job. Oh,
yeah,
damn it.
Exactly. Maybe I'll speak to my boss. Maybe he'll hire you.
I have a job.
Or stay-at-home twink.
They work HR for an incorporated company. Why are you attacking? The point is,
you attacked me first.
The ending was really good. It was sad. I hate that they not only staked her, but then they beheaded her.
So
Also,
cool.
even the cast of her face to make a beheaded, decapitated head of her was still kind of pretty.
It was so pretty.
We've talked through the film very terribly.
Go watch the film yourself. Why are you relying on us to watch it for you? Like,
no. Rely on us. Keep watching. Listening. No, but I do think this listening experience is probably better if you watch the film first and then come hang out with us. So we've gone through the film. So I thought we should do a couple of fun things.
Fun things.
So a couple questions, topics, whatever. So the first thing we'll talk about. I feel like this might be an obvious answer.
Mm-hmm.
But who is your favourite character?
Marcella.
And who is your least favourite character?
Marcella's my least favourite character. And my most favourite character. Don't take that out of context. I love you, Marcella.
She's not gonna fuck you, no matter how hard you try.
No, because she's dead.
No, she's just ghosting you. I did love her.
Marcella's my favourite.
Her painting moment where it turned to skeleton. What's it called?
Picture of Dorian Gray.
That's it, Dorian
so
Gray.
Good.
Yeah.
That was the effect of it itself wasn't that good, but the visuals of it was very cool.
There are some stuff that I appreciate because of the age of the film. Oh god, we're going back again, Jesus Christ. But towards sort of beginning of the film, there's a scene where they go from one bedroom into the other to watch the character sleep.
Yeah.
And it goes through a painting.
That was very cool.
And they've obviously used a physical effect to sort of a see-through screen or something, but it was just amazing. Anyway, sorry. Favorite, least favorite. So favorite was Marcella. I would say same.
Marcella's my
least favorite.
Carl. Fuck you, Carl.
I can't lie. I know I've been very nice, and this might come as a shock, but I hated the love interest. What's her name?
Emma.
I hated her.
She was
so annoying, and the way she kept friend zoning her and acting
she was dying.
Yep. I should do nothing while she was dying.
She was just lying there because she was ill. I'm joking.
Yeah, she was faking it. She's faking
it. Like, I would still be up and walking around if a vampire bit me.
Yeah, exactly. Come on. Also, she pretended she didn't want to go with Marcella. Please.
People these days.
Who doesn't?
At the end, she clearly wanted to because she was like, don't kill her.
Make up your mind. See, this is why I don't like her.
That makes sense, but fuck Carl. That's why.
Okay, so the second fun question I thought we'd ask every episode is, I guess, if you were some form of victim here, do you think you'd survive? I think you would, because you would just give in to Marcella and
become a vampire and
love her forever.
Hot woman and stuff. Yeah.
I don't think I'd survive because I'm a man.
I think you would survive because she wouldn't be interested in you.
You know, I think I'd survive because I mind my business.
Exactly.
I don't think any man who minded their business would survive.
And you would know if you see bite marks on my neck. You're like, oh, that's just Dea. She's fine.
I'm like, oh, good for her. that would be my only reaction.
Yeah. Well, finally.
I mind my fucking business. I'm sorry. I've got no place in between these.
As long as you don't interfere, she's not going to come for you.
Literally, period. Okay, another thing that I want to talk about, because this is a big thing for me in horror, is how fuckable the villain is. And I feel like this is a really strong film to start on.
Well, Marcella's technically the villain. And
I don't think she is. Okay, don't get me wrong, she definitely did bad things, but I feel all around the actual... Yeah, she's the villain, isn't she? Damn it.
She does kill people and
yeah, but did that one man not kill 12 vampires? That's killing people.
Honestly, no, because there's this anime, it's called Shiki, and it's about vampires in this village, and they go and they have this moral dilemma, and basically the head vampire is a child, and she goes, is it wrong for us to want to live even if that means we have to kill others? And that's the whole premise of the show, right? And that's what I'm thinking of, because they're presented as evil people for wanting to kill and hurt people. It's do they want to?
Yeah.
If a vampire is trying to live their life, they have to kill people. And so is it morally wrong for them to do that? which is a fun like philosophical question. But I'm not going to delve
She
into that
didn't
now.
though, because it was very evident she didn't.
What do you mean? She didn't want to kill?
No, she didn't have to, because she was able to feed off of the girl. It made her sick, but
Yeah.
not dead. And she could have done that to multiple people, just fed them to sickness and then moved on.
That's true. I
But
think
she fell in love.
Yeah, she
Aw.
fell in love.
Also, what was no? Okay, let's talk about it. I would say, what was that vampire man doing? What was his purpose?
No, because he turns up like 2 scenes earlier in the film. I think he was a cut plot point. Like I think they had him in like the few cuts, and they had like written him into the script, and then they had like had to cut it for time because I think the film is like 2 hours or 90 minutes, one of the two. And then they like left him in a couple scenes because like lesbians can't get together without a man approving. Apparently,
literally, I was about to say like it was giving like a male gaze. It was like he was like a constant reminder that we are men watching.
Yeah,
it was very uncomfortable.
Yes, it was very uncomfortable in those scenes, but for the rest, like all of the nude scenes didn't seem like they were male gazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they weren't like there was no men in those. Well, apart from the doctor scene where like a tit comes out, but like there's no like close up on the boob, like you know what I mean, like big one.
Okay.
For a long time.
Now, I'll play a little game with you.
Okay, play a game.
A fuck, marry, kill, but it's fuck, marry, or be killed by.
Okay.
Let me explain this game though, because first time we're playing it. When I say killed by, you're trying to pick someone you think you'd be able to survive getting killed by.
Okay.
So you want to pick someone who you're like, I could defend myself against them.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you 3 people. It's going to be really difficult. You ready? Marcilla, Emma, or the really gross Dracula vampire guy.
Right, well, I'd marry Marcella, I'd fuck Emma, and I could survive.
You couldn't. You couldn't.
I could because I'm built different.
No.
I'm built different. I could fight him.
You couldn't.
I could fight him.
No, you couldn't.
I could.
The only one you could survive. No, the only one you
I
could survive is Emma, which means you have to fuck the old man.
I don't want to fuck the old man. Maybe you just you just want to fuck old man.
No, I set you up with this question.
You just want to fuck old man.
I set you up.
No, because you know what? Look, I could beat him up because I have a big pair of Doc Martens and I could stamp on him until he dies. I have crucifixes. I wear my little cross, but I'll put him between my titties so he's staring. He's like, oh, look at those. And then I go, done. He's dead. I could win. Wrap me up.
I agree.
Thank you.
That's
I didn't appreciate the fucking old man line though, because that he doesn't. I'm not old.
Everyone, for the listeners, that voice off screen is our poltergeist. He haunts the podcast studio. So
you're 23. You're old enough.
Yeah, he's 23.
You bitch is going to be 23 real soon, and then you'll see how funny it is.
22 in 27 days.
I've got like a year. Old man. So anyway,
a year and 27 days till I'm 23.
So just to
we lost our point because we're talking about fucking old man.
Yeah, we really were. We really got distracted. I got more distracted by that than fucking Marcella. Okay.
I'd
so
never be distracted while I was fucking Marcella.
What would you? So let's just say rating wise, what would you rate it, and would you recommend?
I I would probably rate it. So like, I'm like a film nerd, so I use Letterboxd. So I'm sorry. So I would probably give it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars, but then like a little heart next to it because I really liked it.
I would say the same. I mean, if I could be specific, I'd say maybe I'd say 3.
3.
I'd say 3. Maybe just because I'm not a lesbian.
That makes sense. There's not a lot of hot men for you to ogle at this time.
There isn't. There's one semi-attractive man, and what's his name? Carl.
Fuck you, Carl.
Cunt. I mean, what kind of name is that? I'd rate like a 3. But would I recommend it? I would, but it's a very specific film, and I feel like I'd recommend it to any sapphic friend I have.
Sapphic.
But to non-sapphic, without the excitement of lesbian vampire, I don't know what else most people would enjoy from it. I mean, if anyone had like a proper respect for film or the gothic or the especially gothic films, I'd recommend it. If you are gay, I'd recommend it.
Or if you like vampires,
I'd recommend it. But yeah, for most like viewers, I'd say it's a very niche interest.
Yeah. We're going to try and do loads of different stuff, like niche stuff, but then also like mainstream stuff. But we're starting off with a little niche thing because it's fun.
I think it'd be cool to like focus a lot on like queer horror. I think this podcast will
mainly
focus on like queer horror mainly, not only, but I mean, let's not get into it because we could, but like the history of queerness and horror is just like completely combined.
It's very much integrated.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna find like queer representation anywhere, it's horror.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was fun. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Or listening.
Thank you.
Listener. That was really fun to do. It'll get better, I promise. This is just our first time round. Look at our cute little candle. We should do a seance.
A seance.
Ready? Hands in.
Oh,
The spirit of Marcella. Please fuck Dea. Please. She really needs it.
if you're listening right now, I'm crying.
You really are. Would you? No.
Go on, no.
This is an after podcast question.
This is an after podcast question. I don't know what else we can discuss. We've already not done. We've already talked about how fucking desperate I am and how you want to fuck old men.
I'm unemployed.
And then you
Freelance, not unemployed.
He's available for
Listen, I'm gay.
I'm gay. Pan.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.